the $100 million man for the Saints did not play, as Key referenced his nephew, Michael Thomas. And that sets the scene. Week 2 of the NFL season done. Keyshawn J. Will Zubin, presented by Progressive Insurance. All of our guests on the Shell Pennzoil Performance Line. Key, we started the show August 17th, but even before that, in the rehearsals, when we all first met each other for the first time, one of the biggest things you kept on saying is, when are we going to talk about the Raiders? Not just the team, not just the game, but everything that goes along with it. The move, the fans, the legacy, and the nostalgia. It only seemed right that they played, that organization of Madden, of Davis, of all these people, of Art Shell, a guy people don't realize unless you're of age, that was the team that played on the 50th anniversary of Monday Night Football and opened their $2 billion stadium with the W.
$2 billion. That stadium is $2 billion when the Rams is $5 billion. I don't know how that.
Sophie, Sophie Stadium, $5 billion.
What's the difference? And they both look gorgeous. But I think when you talk about Vegas, the Raiders, it all makes sense. The only thing that's missing there last night were the fans, right? If that would have been like the perfect Monday night situation, if the fans were in the stands going nuts, the strip was going crazy, the Raiders pull that win off, people miss work again today, fly in late tonight, tomorrow morning to get back to their jobs. When you talk about Raider football, it's one of those deals where growing up in Los Angeles, being able to watch from the West Coast, the Raiders in L.A. as well as the Raiders in Oakland, the fans in the black hole was part of it. That was missing last night. That's the only thing. Otherwise, it was a perfect game.
Interesting, though, that we're week 2 of football. Basketball has been going on for a while in the bubble. Same with MLS to a degree. And that was the game last night with the Oakland Raiders. I mean, that's high stakes for the Oakland Raider fans, right? That was the first time that we're sitting there. Because I kind of felt the same way as you, Key, watching that game. The environment seemed like I was envisioning it in my own mind, closing my eyes, that it would be so different if you actually had the black hole there.
Yeah, it would have been different in just looking at and understanding what the Raiders did for so long trying to get a new stadium. I mean, they tried in Oakland for many years. They almost came back to L.A. I thought they were going to be back in L.A. and it would have been the Rams and the Raiders opposed to the Chargers. That didn't work out. They struck a deal with Vegas, got that deal done, and the fans, they were against it a little bit, but I think, Vegas, the Raider fans from Oakland and L.A., easy flight on Southwest, coming in from all over the place. Raiders that's a huge, huge brand. And then to display a win on national TV against New Orleans that was down, Michael Thomas and Drew Brees was trying to do whatever he could do to keep them alive, but it did not work, speaks volumes in front of our eyes. To be able to see the Raiders climbing back, if it's like the Cowboys, the Raiders, the Giants, Green Bay, New England, when those teams are good, the NFL, Pittsburgh, the NFL is big.
I'll tell you one thing, too. My dad's initials are DW. And last night, walking away from that game, I'm like, yeah, Darren Waller. I know Key's been talking about you, but yeah, I see you all 6'6", 240 pounds of you, just operating. The versatility, Key, that he had, that they can use him, it was just, it was a thing of beauty watching him play.
It was, but, one thing, I was playing, no.
Okay, you said but.
But I was saying one thing I was playing in my mind as I was watching the game along the lines, and I was thinking of the West Coast system, something that I played in with John Gruden in Tampa Bay, is that all West Coast systems have a dominant tight end. You can go all the way back to the San Francisco 49ers and Steve Young and Joe Montana when it was Brett Jones, the tight end. You could go to Green Bay with Holmgren when it was Keith Jackson and Mark Chmura, the tight end. You could just go around and think about the tight ends in these systems. You can go to Kansas City and you can look at Kelsey with Andy Reid that runs a very similar system with Patrick Mahomes. You've got to have a tight end in these systems that are quarterback friendly to be able to get things done the way that you need to. 12 catches, a little bit over 100 yards, a touchdown. And everything was methodical with Derek Carr leading the charge. And when you look at Derek Carr at the quarterback spot, there's a lot of questions on what he was in John Gruden's system. 2 straight years over 4,000 yards in the air, 3 years removed from possibly being an MVP candidate when he hurt his back. The Raiders were in the playoffs. They go down to Houston. They lose to the Texans. And then everybody's like, Derek Carr can't play anymore. Next year, Jack Del Rio out, Coach John Gruden in. He gives this narrative to the world that Derek Carr is not worthy of being the starting quarterback for the Raiders, and everybody kind of ran with it. He never said it. He just kind of dangled it out in front of you-type media people, Zubin.
You-type.
And everybody and everybody ran with it, right? They all just jumped on it and said, oh, Derek Carr. Oh, John Gruden doesn't like Derek Carr. Because John made some comments along the way, and it made it seem as though Derek Carr wasn't worthy of being the Raiders quarterback.
But Derek Carr also had time to throw the ball. I know we're going to be talking about Carson Wentz, and you talk about their O-line being, depleted. How about this stat? The Raiders have far and away the most cap money sunk into their offensive line. They're built from the team that's from front to back. Nearly $57 million they are paying their linemen this year is $8 million more than the next most. Well, $8 million more. So as a Giants fan, I'm like, let's just build from the front back. I see the way that John Gruden and this company does it. How come other teams can't do it that way?
Well, other teams do it that way. They spend money on the offensive line. They spend money,
but not the right money.
But you got to find the right players, and you got to have the right coach to coach them up. One of the things that John Gruden was able to do is bring back Tom Cable as his offensive line coach. And Tom Cable's a pretty good offensive line coach, former head coach of the Raiders. Remember that when he did the little sucker punch to the assistant coach? It's just one of those deals where when you have a great offensive line coach, your offensive line is going to be dominant across the board. And Jeff Saturday can speak to that, as well as Damon Woody can speak to that. They've had great offensive line coaches in their careers, and the offensive line has always been stout. It gives Derek Carr the opportunity to deliver the football in sync to a Henry Ruggs or a Nelson Aguilar or even Jacobs out of the backfield or Waller, any of these guys, or Renfro, any of these guys that they have that they need to distribute the ball to, it gives them that time. So therefore, the quarterback has the confidence. When you're talking about other teams like a Carson Wentz staring down the gun barrel, spooked because he knows that any minute he could get hit, or Daniel Jones at any minute you can get hit, or Saquon Barkley in the backfield with the offensive lineman sitting in his lap because they're being pushed. So when you have an offensive line that you pay a lot of money to, you also got to have a coach that can coach them up.
It just also felt like Drew Brees and company. Well, Drew Brees didn't find his rhythm, but mostly due to the fact that the time they spent off the field due to the way John Gruden and this team plays. Just pounding the ball, one possession after a time, and just working the ball down the field.
Well, I think look, all the way around, it was a good game. Drew Brees significantly, and this is not just because it's my nephew, but it is at the same time because, missed Michael Thomas. I keep forgetting can't say Mikey.
He's a grown man now, yes.
He's still Mikey.
He's still Mikey.
When you look at some of the balls that Drew threw in the area of the wide receivers, it's about the catch radius. And when you had guys like Marcus Colston for so many years, catch radius. Or you had Jimmy Graham for years, catch radius. Now you have Michael Thomas, huge catch radius. It makes the quarterback look even better than what he is. And now Drew Brees, Hall of Fame, was great regardless. But when you add that other level of wide receiver, those passes that you look at and you go, wow, that was a great throw. Not necessarily the receiver made that catch. Some things